Blizzard is looking into hero bans and swap tokens for Overwatch stuff. Let's have a look. Hey guys, I'm Deemzies from the Omnic Post. Last season we saw two rather substantial reworks, Sombra and Roadhog. And earlier this week, Moga, the brand new tank hero, joined the roster, on top of several series of buffs and nerfs. In other words, the hero experience at Overwatch 2 has shifted a little bit in the last few weeks. Just a tiny bit. And as we all know, the state of Overwatch balancing is like politics. Everybody has an opinion. And anyone that doesn't agree with my opinion is wrong. At least, that's how most of the community thinks about it. Personally, I think that the hero balancing in Overwatch is in the best spot it has been ever. But that kind of depends on which heroes you play and on what level you play. So you might feel different. And to be honest, there's still work to be done. And Blizzard agrees. During a recent Q&A with Flats and Emongg, Alec Dawson, the lead hero designer for Overwatch, shared that they're looking into some heroes like Wrecking Ball and Cassidy, and that those might actually end up in new reworks. But that's not what this video is about. I mean, Wrecking Ball and Cassidy have been on the rework table so many times that they can't remove their bot imprints from the table anymore. Funny enough, they have the same bot print. It's kind of weird. Cassidy hamster ass Cole. Anyways, what I wanted to talk about today is a lot scarier than hamsters or cowboys. During that same Q&A, Alex shared that the team might start testing hero bans and swap tokens internally. I'm worried, guys. But let's separate those for a second, because they are very different things. Hero bans is pretty straightforward. At the start of every match, each team gets to vote on a hero that they want to lock out, so the other team can't use them. It is a strategic tool. Or that's the idea at least. That the option of you banning a certain hero will make your comp even more powerful. It's no longer just about the heroes that you pick, but also about the one that you lock out. What I'm kind of afraid of is that all players are just going to pick the one that they perceive to be overpowered. We've talked about this in the past. While perception is important, it isn't always correct. Or that they're going to pick their personal counter. A second thing I'm worried about is that the hero balancing in Overwatch is already super complicated. It's a rapidly growing roster, with counterplay that is being played on very different and various skill levels. In the past I compared it to riding a seesaw that is on top of a ship in the middle of a storm. Yeah, not good. And in my opinion, hero bans just adds an extra variable. On the other hand, the idea is that there always should be several heroes that counter you, which hasn't always worked out up till now in my opinion, but the roster is still growing. In other words, you could just ban one hero, but there would be another that can kick your ass. At which point you ask yourself, why even bother? Well, as I said before, it should be used more strategic, based around enhancing your team on a whole. They used to lock out certain heroes in the Overwatch League. Well, the Overwatch League used to do it. The players didn't really have a choice, which posed a bit of an extra challenge for the teams, but hey, they're pros. They can use a challenge. But Weep Turtle 47, a Genji one trick, he can't handle that challenge. I don't know, guys. The whole idea of a hero ban within this community makes me nervous. But you know what? We're not there yet. They're talking about testing it internally. That's like me saying I'm going back to the gym next week. Spoiler warning, I'm not. On the other hand, yeah, it might not be a bad idea. The other feature they talked about is swap tokens, which means different things in different games. In FIFA, for instance, it is something that you earn a token that you can later use to trade in for cards or for cosmetics or whatever. It's kind of like what they're doing in Overwatch during the Winter Wonderland event, the Winter Fair, where you can earn tokens and use those tokens to buy cosmetics. But Alec was talking about swap tokens in another context. He was wondering if they need to change the free swap system as we know it today, which is a core mechanic of Overwatch. Or that it needs to be currency based, like you needing a swap token to swap. And that's about as far as he went in that discussion. Because again, they're just talking about it, nothing is concrete, nothing is set in stone. But as I said earlier, swapping is a core mechanic in Overwatch. Limiting players to swap to a certain hero is going to lock the game, the match, into a certain state at some point. And that state is always going to feel like the system screwed you over. Well, if you lose. Because your skill level or your choice of hero doesn't matter anymore. You can. And it's also not going to motivate players to finish the matches. I've talked about this before, but an Overwatch match is never really lost. I have had almost daily occurrences where we are getting rolled for 70% of the match, but we manage to flip it around at the end and actually win that match. Which feels as such an accomplishment every single time. But when swapping becomes tied into a currency, that might disappear. You might literally run out of options. I used to play Paladins occasionally, and they don't have a hero swap system. And that is exactly why I don't play that game anymore. You basically kind of roll the dice at the start. And if they had you counted, well, you just spent the whole match running back and forth from spot. That was it. And personally, I don't get the whole issue with swapping heroes. I mean, my main roster of heroes, the heroes that I play occasionally, is rather big. So I don't mind, well, most of the time, I don't mind swapping. And sometimes I don't, because I think I can actually deal with my counter, that I'm better than them. Yeah, it doesn't happen often. In any case, I'm slightly worried about these ideas. I mean, I do love change, but there's also a few reasons why I love Overwatch, and the heroes, the variety of heroes, is a big one in that. And limiting me from swapping from one to the other, it is kind of frightening. As I said, they're talking about testing it internally. You know what? With their new open communications, these kind of moments will happen. Which is good. It gives me the chance to make this video and ask them, are you nuts? But tell me, what do you think about hero bans and swap tokens? Let me know in the comments below. A big thank you to my patrons for their support. You guys are legends. And you too can become part of the Omnic Post family over on patreon.com/the Omnic Post. But above all, make sure to subscribe. Alright, take care of yourself, take care of each other. Bye bye.